Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
And welcome to another incredible episode of Small Towns Unscripted. This is number 4 out of 4 million. And going strong. This to my left is Tara Kalin, the one and only Tara Kalin. How are you, Tara?
That's true. Pretty good.
Good. To my right is Nicole Turner. Hello, Nicole Turner.
Hello.
My guest, I've known a couple days, Karyl Oules. Welcome.
Hey, Russ.
And my name's Russ McClellan, and I'm lucky and grateful to be here, and we're excited to do this podcast, which is really about relationships. And we were just talking about that, Karyl, you and I yesterday, about, like, you asked me a good question. Why are you doing this? Why are you guys doing this? And I said, my answer was, well, I know that there's a lot of people that know of each other in small towns. Ours is no different, and they don't really get to know each other. We also, depending on, whoever you are, we all have different levels and different segments in time that we live our lives differently. And so sometimes I think people get stuck on a subject or a industry that you might work with somebody so you know that side of them.
Or a one-time, one-off event 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Or, we all live and learn and grow, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? And
100%.
so we need to allow that in others.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things to touch on that Karyl was talking about earlier was you noticed her tattoo.
Yeah.
And what did she say? Like, if my kids would have come home with this.
I'd have killed them.
Right. But, now in your 80s, 90s, you were feeling like.
Oh, hell yes. I mean, I'm free to lead my life.
Yes, and
Amen.
change is inevitable. And we don't have to hold you to what you believed when you were 30.
No, and it's sad if someone thinks they have to stay there.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
that I'm a lifelong learner. And the greatest thing I can gain in life is freedom, respecting other people,
Yeah.
but dang it, loving it. Loving life. I have a son that has some issues. He's my greatest example. If you live life to the fullest, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, attitude conquers a lot of things. And one of the things you said on the phone yesterday is it's about relationships.
Yeah, totally.
And valuing all of them.
Yep.
In the past, in the present, and the ones that you don't quite have yet. But that's also exciting because, I don't know where to begin with your life because you're one of the people that have inspired so many different people in your life. So I thought maybe I'd ask you, where would you like to start in your adventure here?
Well, 83 and a half years ago, I was born.
A hell of a day.
I was not at all who I was for the first 50 years of my life. Now, I did things because it got people's approval. It also was a means of survival, making money. But I was just too damn serious. I didn't laugh enough.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on learning how to laugh. Only trouble at my age, you laugh too much and you pee your pants. Now, then you got a real problem. So anyway.
I know that feeling.
Chelan is my home. I didn't even know there was such a thing as Chelan, Washington. I went to college, University of Washington. I lived in a rooming house there, and 2 sisters lived there. Well, they were from Chelan. I would work and do night school.
Where were you from then?
Me?
Yeah.
Walla Walla.
Oh, okay.
I was in Washington State and never heard of Chelan.
Yeah.
And so one summer day, the girls say, hey, you just study too much. We're going home. You want to come with us? Okay, well, I knew they'd said Chelan. Okay, fine, what? I'll go. We came around that corner off Cooley coming in, and I saw that lake, and I said to myself, someday I will live there. It took my breath away. It still takes my breath away. Now, has it changed? Oh, hell yes, it's changed a lot. And a lot of it has to do with the industry that you're in, Russ. When I first moved here in the 70s was when I actually ended up moving here permanently. There were no lights on these hillsides. You drive in, it's black. You had stars that went forever because there was no city lights or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I'll hear people say, I want the old Chelan. I don't want the old Chelan. I love new. I love learning. Now, there are a few things I don't like they're done, yeah, because I hate them damn roundabouts, but it's because I don't want to adjust to them. Yeah. Now, I've gotten on roundabouts in Washington, D.C., this type of thing that are 6 lanes on my motorcycle.
The DuPont circle.
On my motorcycle doesn't even bother me. But this is my town. Don't mess with, put a roundabout.
You could just go over it in your Spider.
Yeah, right.
Just do wheelie right over, jump them.
And so, but I can't imagine somebody not liking this town. I mean, I'm passionate about the town. You know, as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about life because I think it's meant to be lived and live to your finest.
What would you say to people? Sorry, what would you say to people that are stuck in a mindset of negativity in general? I know we're going to get into a lot today.
Yeah,
you're a really good example of, you said you've learning how to laugh at 50.
Yeah, and that's hard. I mean, life is serious. You ain't got time to dick around laughing.
I mean, that's what I was going to ask is what was there an impetus to change? Was there a moment or was there a
Well, yeah, I realized that I was just too serious and it wasn't fun. I went through a divorce. I was married for life. My partner didn't quite have that belief system, okay?
Yeah.
And I spent 5 years in a fetal position, literally.
I get that.
Feeling sorry for myself.
Oh, I get
Got
that.
into counseling. Great counselor. Took him about 5 seconds and he said, if you pull your head out of you, you know, and maybe open your eyes and look, there's a whole world out there, and why are you feeling sorry for yourself? Move on, sister.
It doesn't sound like the counselors of today, not that I have a lot of experience in that at all.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I need a lot of counseling, but I don't get a lot of
Yeah, right.
Dave's young, though, who knows? But, you know, the point of looking in the mirror back then, you know, that was like 34 years ago or so, right? So
well, yeah.
It was not, that was kind of interesting that you say you were feeling sorry for yourself at a time when, man, you had to look in the mirror all the time. But you were, but you realized you were just too serious.
Oh, yeah.
That was the epiphany.
That and the fact that I did start looking in the mirror. And I was given instructions. And I've always been somebody, if I buy into what you're doing, I'll do what you tell me to do. And the counselor says, this is what to do. I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to just start laughing. Well, now, I'm sure glad I was by myself. They lock people up that do things like that, right? But there was a purpose in it. And you ask Russ, you know, what would I say to somebody? And I'll listen to people. I got 2 ears, and I know it's important you listen. But I only emphasize to a certain point, and then I say, you know, you are the one that's got to do something, you know. And if you knew you couldn't fail, just take the question, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do different?
So what kind of shift occurred when you started making this change?
What kind of shift? Fear. Absolute fear. Because I'd learned how to operate in a very structured way. I mean, I have tattoos. Never, ever would I have had tattoos. Because that wasn't approved of.
Yeah.
You know, I'm back from the old folks. That's when those things didn't happen. But I realized that don't take life so seriously. You know, there's good, there's challenges. Become a lifelong learner, and I am. I absolutely am constantly trying to learn something new.
So I feel like with the elders that we've spoken to so far, the common thread seems to be this element of positivity, having a good attitude.
It's
not
all
hanging
attitude.
on to you know, negative things, moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Earl and Judy Stanford, that was their thing. I loved what he said. I'm 90. I don't apologize for 90. 20 or 90, it's just an age.
Yeah, it's a number. It's a number, and that's it.
And then Otto Ross said, his daughter was with us, and she said, what are you going to tell me, Dad? He's, what is he, 90, going to be 99 next month. And he was skiing at Mission Ridge. Yeah. And still teaching, which is weird. But she goes, what are you going to tell me if I say something negative? He said, 2 positives.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my grandma, I'll always share it. You know, she said, just try to find one thing you're grateful for every day, and
Every day.
and then just focus on that. When you're having a bad day, focus on that.
Yeah, and I do every morning. I have coffee. I'm at my table. I got my little routine. I have to have at least 10 grateful things on that list.
Wow.
And I have my permanent list over here because I got family, and then I've got God, I've got my country. Those things are permanent. Those are fixed.
Yeah.
But come on, something new, you know?
Kaleidoscope.
Little things.
Yeah.
One of the things I was wondering, and we're going to bounce all around. That's why it's called Unscripted. We don't have a big pattern in this
Right.
podcast. We just talk, which is perfect for me. You know, I plan every 7
I like
minutes.
to talk too.
Yeah, it's good. And I don't plan a lot, so it's good. And I was going to ask you, in the morning when you do your videos for your coaching and your inspiration, they're so inspirational for so many people that you don't probably know you're touching. You know, I might be one of them, or I look for them.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, how do you come up with that? Do you just do that on the fly?
Just totally on the fly. It's usually, I guess, well, it doesn't matter. They can't see. I get up in the morning and I got to go to the bathroom first thing. So I happen to have where my heated seat that I get to sit on first thing in the morning, I have a nice window that I can look out. Fortunately, I don't look on neighbors. I've got a lot of trees. I see the deer, the everything. And I sit there and I'm grateful there, and I start thinking. And then, I don't know, pretty soon I'll sit there and giggle. And then by this time, my dogs are running around doing things. And then something hits me. Oh, I want to tell people about that. I want to motivate. I want to motivate people. I'm a health coach, so that's my passion. And that's the other thing. Do what you're passionate for. Don't do a job just because it pays you money. And I know money's important, but I say follow your passion. The money's going to come. The money will come.
And even if it doesn't, right? Like, even if, you know, one of the things I tell people is that failure is totally cool, because, I mean, that's where all the cool lessons happen, out of the comfort zone. And
Yeah.
when you're out of the comfort zone,
Oh,
then,
totally.
then bad things can happen, you know, because it's unpredictable. Quitting is very different than failing.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no failure.
There's
Yeah.
no failure.
No,
I mean, you go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. How else am I going to learn?
Exactly.
I mean, I hate GPSs, okay? I have traveled close to 300,000 miles on a Spider without
That's
a
awesome.
GPS because they just screw me up. Have I ever gotten lost? Oh, hell yes. A lot of times then I say, oops, switch on the adventure. You're on an adventure. You're
Switch
not
on the
lost.
adventure.
You're not doomed, nothing else. I mean,
And then do you
just
ask
shift
some
the
neighbor,
attitude.
some random neighbor, how do you get where you're going then?
Oh yeah, you know, GPS, go find personal service, talk to people. I love
Yeah.
talking to people. I prefer back roads because freeways are good. I'll travel freeways, no issues. But the back roads is where the world is.
Yeah.
For
It's-
people that don't know, what is a Spider?
A Spider is a 3-wheel motorcycle. I decided at the age of 70 I needed a motorcycle. And I knew I'd kill myself on 2 wheels. And so I got to looking, and the kid's dad, he was riding a Harley, 3-wheel Harley. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get a Harley. I mean, that's what everybody rides, a Harley, right?
Yeah.
So I went down to Wenatchee. We had a dealership at that time. And I think the salesman's name was Carl. And he said, Karyl, what are you going to do with this thing? As he was showing it to me. And he said, just drive the grandkids around town? And I said, no, I'm going to run the wheels off of it. And he said, what do you want? And I said, I want stability. And this is relationships. He says to me, don't tell my boss, but you don't want this thing. He said, these 2 wheels in the back, they're not stable, they tip, they're just, you know, they're not safe. They're not what you want. He said, there's a brand new machine out. It has 2 wheels in the front. He said, I don't know anything about it. So I come home, and my friend Ed and Sharon Blights ran over and said, did you buy your bike? And I said, well, no, here's what the guy said. And Ed said, oh my God, I was in Seattle. I saw that. I don't know what they are either. So he had internet. So he gets on the internet. He finds this thing called a Can-Am Spider. He calls me up. So I said, okay, fine. I started looking a little bit, and finally I thought, well, let's just talk to a dealer. So I started talking to a dealer. And then I got on a blog, asked unbelievable amount of questions. And Ed had said to me, if you find one of these things, there was a dealer in Spokane, but he didn't have what I wanted. And he said, if you find one of these things, I'll drive it out, because he'd ridden 2 wheels his whole life. And so I decided I wanted one. I like to deal. And so I knew exactly what I wanted. I'd never sat on one of these things. I'd never seen it in person. And so I knew I wanted it to be the light silver. I knew the model I wanted. And I found 4. I found one in New York. I found one in Florida, one in Chicago, and one in California.
Wow.
2 of them would deal, the other 2 wouldn't. So the 2 that don't deal, not dealing with you. And ended up buying it in Chicago.
Wow.
So I got a hold of Ed Blights and I said, were you serious? And he said, about what? I said, well, I just mailed off a check for my Spider. You want to go get it and bring it out for me? And he said, you haven't even looked at it. You haven't even sat on it. I said, I know. So that's how I bought my first Spider.
Now, I remember, do you remember seeing her on this in town?
Oh, of course.
I mean, you know, you're someone that I know who you are, but don't know you, you
Right,
know?
right.
And so I see this woman on this, and I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that is cool.
Yeah.
And you told me you went, how many thousand miles? 49 states?
It's like 297,000.
297,000 miles
Yeah,
on a
I've-
Spider.
So cool.
Multiple states, all 49. I spent 6 weeks in Alaska. Amazing. Going up to the oil fields, I went on the Haul Road, which you're never supposed to go on, and I said, well, why not? Don't tell me I can't go there. Why
Yeah,
not?
like who did anyone tell you you're crazy, don't do this,
All the
we're
time.
worried about you?
All the time. All the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do, because fear can stop me. I'm no Wonder Woman, but I don't want to be paralyzed by fear. So I write down what the fear is. I'm a journaler.
Yeah.
I write down what the fear is, and then I write down what's the worst thing that can happen. You're out in the middle of nowhere and you pop a tire. You don't carry a spare tire. What are you going to do? Or an example, got into Tennessee, got in the wrong part of town one time, and I was in drug dealing heaven. What are you going to do? How do you handle it? Because I don't use a GPS, and I didn't want to talk to those druggies. I just needed the gas. So I have answers. That situation comes up, I know what to do.
So let me ask
I
you
don't
this.
stress, I just do it.
Let me ask you this, because I do a lot of mindset coaching. I guess that's kind of a form of counseling. And one of the mindset coaches I talk to a lot says, you know, it's a human condition to have the need for certainty. And that in my real estate game, you know, it's very unpredictable. It's very hard to, you don't get paid for time. You know,
Right.
you get paid for deals and markets change and so on. When you decided in your point in life, I'm sure you had a group of friends, and I'd love to go back and talk about the first friends, and specifically Marge and Jim Sackett, who are
Yeah.
my parents, you know,
And your folks,
very
yeah.
good friends as well, and you guys are all hung out for years while we were rodeoing. But my question is more like, when you changed your lifestyle, do you think there was people that supported you, and you probably had people that didn't support you and were offended?
Oh, yeah.
And
my
then you
kids.
but then did you make new
Your
like
kids.
Oh,
your kids?
yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah. At the time that I didn't tell my kids I was getting a motorcycle, okay? And
Okay.
They didn't know by now that
no,
Carol's Carol.
no, they didn't know. And so Ed brings the motorcycle home from Chicago, parks it in my driveway, and I thought, well, this is interesting. And he said, oh, here's the book.
Here's the book.
So luckily where I live, I don't have neighbors, because I had a lot of bells and whistles going off because I kept doing things wrong. But I finally got enough I could sneak up to Walmart, because you see, I had to have a driver's license to be legal. I couldn't pass the written test. I failed it 4 times.
Oh,
now, I'm not
my
really dumb,
gosh.
okay?
No, you're not.
But them friggin' tests just, So you know what I did? I cheated. I opened book. I laid that book right here on my lap.
I love all this
And
right
I
now.
took the test. And I passed. And
DMV, she's kidding.
I said,
Allegedly, she's saying.
I said,
May or may not have.
I
She's
said, works for
joking.
me. And so anyway, I get my bike. Well, finally Ed said after he knew that I was able to at least get up to Walmart, I could get into third gear.
Okay.
I couldn't get beyond third gear, about 30 miles an hour. So he was going to show me some things about it. And I said, okay. So he said, well, have you shown, my son's name's Prune, have you shown Prune your new bike? I said, oh, hell no. He didn't even know about it. Oh, let's go up to the cop shop. And he was chief of police at the time. And we drive up to his cop shop. And he comes out, and he's got a couple of his deputies with him. And so he'd never seen a spider. And so he's going around. And, of course, Ed was driving it when we drove in. So he's asking Ed all this mechanical stuff. And he said, dang, Ed, he said, this is really a good deal. You did a good deal here. Ed very quietly said, not mine. Okay, well, kid didn't pick up on it. So he's going around, and now he's on the suspension, and he's on this. And again, he says, yep, I'm really liking this, Ed. Really a good deal. And Ed says a little louder, not mine. Clicks in. Kid turns around and says, if it ain't yours, who is it? And thankfully, two of his deputies were standing there. Because we have what we call the cop walk when he gets an attitude. And he was high-stepping like you wouldn't believe, and he was back in the cop shop. And I thought, oh, my ass is grass. He's going to be talking to his mother. And so it wasn't too long. Phone call, Mom, I got to come talk to you. I said, yeah, okay. The other three put you up to it. Yep. I said, well, here's the deal. I want you to think about something before you come. I'll talk to you. I said, I know it's about the bike. And I said, but you have a choice to make. I can either have my butt on your couch or on that saddle. What do you want? I can guarantee you they did not want my butt on their couch. So he came, and he had calmed down by then, but he said, there's a few things I want you to do. And I said, I'll do them. He said, you need more lights. People aren't going to see you. So he said, get some more lights on that thing. I said, I can do that. And he said, I want you to take the three-wheel course. He said, you don't know anything about riding a motorcycle or a three-wheel. And he said, I want you, and he told me the course and everything. And I said, I'll do that. So I found this course in Yakima. Now remember, I can't go above 35 miles an hour. And I do not believe in trailering. If you got that thing, you ride it. You don't trailer it. I could have borrowed my kid's trailer. I could have put it in the horse trailer, hauled it down there. No, you ride it. So I took off for Yakima. It took me 9 hours.
Now you say 35 because that's just your confidence level at the time?
That was I was scared to death thing.
Yeah, because you didn't want to shift into...
Oh, scared. I can't go any faster. And I literally rode down the side of the road with my flashers on. And I get to the class, and they don't believe that I had driven all that way, 35. I said, well, how else was I going to get here? Well, trailer it. Well, why would you buy a bike and then trailer it? I mean, truly, I wasn't being a smart ass or anything. It just made no sense to me.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I love that.
And then that was the start of it. Then I was licensed, and then I came home on the freeway, and I've gone up on the wheat flats, and I've hit 120 and said, stupid.
Allegedly. Cops.
Allegedly. Stupid. You know.
Well, there's
And-
deer.
Oh, well, we all maybe have done that.
I was always a safe driver growing up.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
no, it literally, you talk about relationships. That spider has brought more solid relationships into my life than anything I know. Those people would do anything for me.
So that goes
cool.
back to my question. So how, when someone that's been in your life a long time and you make a quantum leap into a different world and a different mindset, you know, and you look fear in the eyes and you go,
Right.
you know what, I'm going to change my life now at 50 or whatever age you did. And then your friends that you care about won't come on board.
Nope.
So what do you say, what advice would you give to other people going through similar things when they really do care about people
Right.
and their family or out of their family, but you got to leave them behind.
Right, you do. And I have that. And my sister being one of them. And what I learned was I can accept what she has to say. And now we laugh, and she said, I know you're not going to change your mind, but she said, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. And I said, and she's serious about it because she's scared to death of her own shadow. And I think that's so sad. She said, but I don't understand why are you driven like that? I said, I don't see it as being driven, but as far as do you have to leave people behind? Yeah, you do. And definitely leave people behind that are abusive.
And that abuse can come in a lot of forms, right?
Oh boy, can it ever. Abuse can come that looks all nice and wonderful and this type of thing,
those
but
are kind
it's
of the silent
don't even
Those are the worst.
drips.
get me started on the different kinds of abuse and this type of thing.
Well, it's maybe we should, because you're an amazing inspiration to so many people that I don't think you know you are. And so,
Yeah, see, I struggle with that. When you say that, I'm like, oh, just shut up. I don't know what you're talking about.
is that
You
because
don't, you don't know what you're
I
talking
know I'm watching
about.
your videos and I'm inspired.
Well, and part of it is because, I mean, I have obviously have had older people that in my family or that I've been close to that are not willing to tackle technology in the way that you have or make big leaps in your life like that. I mean, I don't know if I would say it's not the norm, but maybe it's not the norm. You know, I think it might just be easier to stay in a little bit of that fear mindset because it's comfortable. People know.
Oh, it's comfortable, and it
that.
doesn't stress you. Technology stresses the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But I also know the power of it. I also know the excitement of what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And that intrigues
Yeah.
me. Now, do I cuss technology? Oh, yeah. Do I yell for a grandkid to get over here and fix this thing? Yes.
Yeah.
But
But that's the part where I'm like, oh my gosh, you know,
Well, the authenticity.
Carol's doing another live.
Yeah,
You know,
the
this is
authenticity
so
in which
fun.
she does it, right? Like when you can't see your pic, I can't find my face in this thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you're all over the place. It's the
yeah, you can hear me.
son of a bitch. Where's this grandkid? And then you what I love is that you post and ghost. Like, and what I mean by that is you don't overanalyze yourself and what because you're coming from a beautiful place and you're trying to help other people.
And I being free in myself, Russ,
Yeah.
I was talking to a gal yesterday that is really, really struggling with freedom with food. And
Yeah.
I said, I want to work with you. I coach all levels. I want to work with you to get you to that. It can be yours. It's not elusive. It's not meant just for one crazy old lady in Chelan.
Yeah.
It is something that can be had in Phoenix too, because that's where she's from. And I said, but we have to open up your mindset. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to run the risk to learn something that may be so uncomfortable at first.
Well, let's get into that food and what you're doing. What are you doing?
I'm a health coach, and what I do is I have learned because of my own journey. As you know, I'm passionate, addicted to spider riding, and I'm not looking for a 12-step program at all. And I believe in 12-step programs, but not for spider riding. And so I was having a knee that was going out on me. My balance was getting really bad, and I was accepting it and saying, well, that must be what you do at 80.
Yeah.
I've seen this happen in so many people. This is what happened at 80. And then I went down to, I can't remember if it was Burlberg or who. I walk in and I said, I guess I'm here to have the old elderly knee fixed. And he just looked at me. And he said, if you lost 50 or 60 pounds, he said, you wouldn't need me. But if you don't, we might as well make the appointment now. Okay, when I hear something once, I kind of pay attention. When I hear it the second time, I'm thinking, I think there's a message here.
Yeah.
I hear it the third time, I'm buying the horse and putting the saddle on. Okay.
Well, is this another you looking yourself in the mirror kind of moment?
Well, it was, but it took a little more. Then I come home and I sit in my recliner and I flip on, and it's COVID season, and I flip on my TV and they're talking about overweight people, how this COVID, it's a detriment to be overweight. And then, never being honest with myself before, I tried to lose the weight. Yeah, I'd try any diet that came down the pike or make up a few.
Now, had you had weight problems in your mind? Did you feel overweight for years?
I felt overweight when I was in high school and I was skinny.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
But in my mind, I was fat.
That's
Well,
very common.
That's a common
Does
thing.
that
Oh no, all that stuff is.
Yeah, that's a lot of conditioning.
And
Yeah.
then got into a situation where food became my friend, and I didn't look at that relationship. And I dealt with food. I dealt with anxiety, anything that was put me below the
you eat
line.
your feelings.
Oh, totally eat my feelings. And I got the result. But anyway, I saw overweight here, overweight, all the problems with overweight. And I'm like, okay. Then a friend here in town, she'd lost a ton of weight. I knew she was sick. I mean, that's the only reason people lose that much weight. They've got cancer or something.
Oh.
So I finally got my beer nerve up and I said, hey, you know what? I said, you've lost a lot of weight. How are you? I'm awesome. I thought, that ain't no sick lady. And so then a couple days, I called her back because I didn't want to fail again. And I'd seen myself as failing so many times at trying to lose weight. And I called her and she started to tell me how the program works. I said, stop, I don't want to hear it. She said, what? I said, I want to know what's the maintenance. If I can't have something that's going to last me for a lifetime, I don't want to start.
Yeah.
And so because of the maintenance, then I started the plan, I started losing weight, found out what it does for a person in a positive way, and I just had to give it to other people. I had to offer that to other people. And I've expanded on that since then. I use the plan, the Optavia plan. It's a wonderful plan. I'm a card carrier, but I have found other solutions for other people. It isn't for all people, but it's my job as a health coach to find a healthy alternative, and I'm not a gimmick person. I'm not.
As a health, go ahead.
No, so you are now a health coach. What did you do before that? Like, how did you get into this? Have you always done?
I love business. I hate working I'm a good employee. Trust me, anybody hires me, they get a damn good employee.
Yeah.
Because I give you 120%. But I want to tell you how to run your business, okay?
I love that. I respect that.
I can
Well,
relate. Can you
yeah.
relate?
Well, Campbell's didn't respect it quite that much because they were awesome employers. That was my literal last paid job was as an auditor for them. But I want to tell them how to run their business better. I am meant to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I can just high
meant.
five you right now.
Yeah.
You know, all the way.
Let's run down some of the businesses you've owned real quick.
Well, when I was first married, living at the base of Mount Adams, there was a piece of ground up here on South Shore that we were offered to buy. Roger was making gross $289 a month, okay? Now, granted, you know, things have changed, but that wasn't much even back then.
Roger was your husband.
My
Just for people
ex-husband,
that-
yeah,
ex-husband.
kid's dad.
Yep.
Good man, good man. Okay, so here comes this piece of ground through my father-in-law that a friend who has no family, he wants to sell this little piece of ground. It was $5,000.
Oh.
That was so much money. And I'm at the base of Mount Adams. There's no jobs for women there. I could mark fish twice a year, whoopee, you know, or, you know, whatever. I knit. And I thought, I want that piece of ground. How am I going to get that piece of ground? And so I talked to the guy and I said, would you let me come up with a method to earn money to buy that piece of ground? Can I make payments to you? And he was so willing. I mean, relationships. He wanted somebody to have it that would love it, that respected it. So and it used to be Farmer Stockman, a little free magazine that went out to farmers. I put a little ad in there. I'll knit anything you want, and here's how much I'll charge you a skein. And they'd send me the yarn, and I'd knit it, and that's how I paid for the property.
That's so cool.
I feel like this is, puts Etsy to shame.
Yeah, right.
Right?
What
Just
year was
going
that?
rogue on your own,
That would have
doing
been,
it.
let's see, Linda was 2, so oh my God, 60.
This is before it. This is the
66.
start of actual Etsy.
I know, this is what I mean.
And
Like,
so
just
did that.
what a great
and
marketplace.
then the guys, Rod, my father-in-law, wanted to retire from farming. And the kid's dad, my ex-husband, he always wanted to go farming. And then at the fish hatchery, there was another couple by the name of Sackett's, married name of Des Phelps now. And they had wanted to farm also. Well, we knew that we had a good relationship with these people. A partnership type relationship where, I mean, that takes a lot to have a partnership.
It does.
And so we pursued that. And then in 1970, we moved up here. We had a boat. We had 4 geese. We had 4 kids each. And we lived in a picker's cabin that had running cold water. And if it rained through the roof. And you know what? That wasn't a problem. That's what you do. We're starting out, Yeah. That's what you do. And so wasn't too long, and we got the orchard going, and there was a picker's cabin down in the orchard, and Marge Sackett, one of my best friends,
Love
and
Marge.
we decided we wanted to make some money, but we each had 4 kids. And so we started an interior design business.
Oh, wow.
Now, what did she and I know about interior design?
I'm sure you made some
Nothing,
stuff up.
nothing we couldn't patch and put together. But what I knew and what Marge knew was customer service was important and quality was important. And people want a good deal. And so we found a guy that was one hell of a carpet installer. And we got carpet samples, and we started selling carpet below market. He would install it. Satisfied people would tell other people. We became the largest dealer in the United States of Samsonite patio furniture because we sold
This
to
is
all
crazy.
we sold to all the resorts in the Chelan Valley who use a lot of patio furniture.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the Samsonite salesman, he just laughs and he would take pictures because nobody'd believe him. He'd go and he'd win all these awards because his division was doing so well. And he'd say, "You ain't gonna believe this. I drive down through this orchard. There's potholes in the road, and it's all dirt. And I drive down and outrun 8 kids and about the same number of dogs. Half of them got clothes on, the other half don't. And then you
sounds
go
about
over to this little picker's cabin,
That's your
and
business.
that's where they do their business. But we gave good customer service.
Yeah.
That was always important.
So relationships.
Yeah, work ethic.
Totally, it's all
Driven.
about relationships.
Going
And-
for it, and
I
I'm sure
mean-
there was people that said that's not going to work.
Oh, absolutely, totally. That's stupid. It's not going to work.
That's a small town challenge that I feel like you guys faced and came up with a creative solution for.
Oh, it is. I mean, and it's no different than, and like I get something up and going, and then I get bored with it. It's no more fun. I
Yeah.
love the challenge of making it
The
happen.
new, the idea, the creation,
yeah.
I think
And
I
so,
think we can relate
okay,
to
so
that.
we went from that, and then decided, you know what? I think we need to, and I love land. I've always loved land. Oh my God, there's nothing like buying land. I tried being a landlord. That didn't work at all because as you can tell, I'm a little mouthy, and if someone disrespected a piece of property and this type of thing, and I'm not. I
Yeah.
sold that house right away. but then decided, well, you know what? I think we need a restaurant in this town. Now, I don't cook. I eat, but I don't cook. But I had a daughter that one hell of a cook. Incredible cook. And so we were looking for location. I wanted to drive in because as I did my research, and I do research, I mean, I look at many different businesses before I decide on one. It's not just, one and then do it. No, do a lot of research. And found this location out at Lakeside. I knew it had to be a drive-in because we needed drive-ins in this town.
Yep.
And then I started talking to people before I even put money on the piece of property to buy. I started talking to people. If you had a restaurant in town, what do you want? You want really great food, mediocre service. You want really great service, mediocre food. And a couple other questions I asked them. And what they wanted was relationships.
Yeah.
They wanted people that cared about them, and they'd put up with good food, but it didn't have to be off the charts great if they had the warmth and this type of thing.
Yeah.
I fired 2 of my very best technical waitresses that I ever had. They were amazing. But I could not get either one of them to understand that the customer signed their paycheck. It wasn't me that signed it, it was the customer.
Yeah, smile once in a while.
And they didn't like people. And I said, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
I said,
So
you
what
could,
restaurant was that?
Calico Cow.
By where the Chelan Resort Suites are.
It was
Or
out,
Best Western.
well, it's out where the condo is now.
Yeah, Chelan Resort Suites
The
is
resort,
now.
yeah, that
Yeah.
big square one.
You had the Roger Burger.
Yeah,
if I remember
oh
right.
yeah, and a Pee-wee burger.
And a Pee Wee Burger.
Milkshakes.
And
Did you have milkshakes? Did you have milkshakes?
oh yeah,
Okay, that's what I'm
You
remembering
gotta have
when I was a
milkshakes with
kid.
hamburgers.
yeah,
Was
and we used to
milkshakes.
have the big cow out front.
Yeah.
That Blue Ribbon gave us.
That's funny.
But again, relationships. We weren't in competition with Lakeside or anything. We worked in partners with them. Summertime's crazy time in town for business. I mean, that's when you make your gravy if you're a restaurant or a motel. And we'd run out of food. We just went back and forth. We shared and didn't think anything about it. If I can help you out, dang straight, come get it. I can remember Rains from the bowling alley.
Marilyn and Jack.
Marilyn, yeah. Marilyn used to love to come out there for breakfast. All right, so they'd come out for breakfast, but we'd get slammed. Next thing I know, she's grabbing the coffee
Oh
pot
my
and
gosh.
she's going around and she's
That
giving
is
people
100%
Yeah.
Marilyn. That woman is a workaholic.
and giving, but again,
Loves
the
it.
relationship, the talking.
Yeah.
I had a very small restaurant, 39 seats. Well, you only make money when that seat's full. So sometimes 2 people would sit at a 4-top or 1 person. And I'd say, if I get some people in and I need seats, would you mind sharing your table? And then I had questions I would throw out. And I only had 1 person in all the years we had it that said, no, I want to eat alone. And I said, absolutely, I respect that.
Yeah, well,
But I would start conversations. Desiree, she was a high school, was she junior high or high school? She built the fence out there. And her mother, because I didn't have a track record and I was a risk at the bank for the money, I had to keep my job in Wenatchee because I was working for the state. Hated it. I had to drive every day, but Marge Sackett became my manager.
perfect.
And so there again, relationships that, it's all about relationships and having healthy ones. And you can have some frickin' unhealthy ones that you can work with and care about and build into healthy ones. But you don't waste your life trying to make it happen if the other party doesn't want to participate.
What did you have more businesses besides? And then you had the apple farm. Did you have more than that? Did you do more things in business than?
Oh, was in business with, had a motel.
At a motel. Of course you did.
Oh, and then I started a horse business.
Yeah.
Yeah, opened up a stables. And how did I attract people there? Well, we started showing horses and we started winning, and pretty soon people said, then they said, well, will you breed horses? Yeah, I'll figure out how to breed them. And and then I would have clinics. I would bring in named people. I didn't dick around with somebody that didn't have a name. And I'd bring in named people so the Rusties of the world would come up and take a clinic.
Yeah, who was it that used to, I was trying to remember the lady that taught all of us to ride when we were little.
Well, Dick Shrake was one that came up. He was world famous but he was more reining horses, showing horses. Then I brought in that guy that was the Olympic coach, that was an alcoholic, and he was a disaster. And I told him, no, I will not have you around my people.
Was there a Bonnie or a Barbara? Or,
Bonnie Johnson.
Bonnie Johnson, maybe.
Oh yeah, Bonnie Johnson taught all you kids how to ride.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so.
Do you think that a lot of these stories that you're telling, these things that you've done, I mean, do you think that there's some uniqueness to living in a small town that?
No, it's my personality.
So you'd have been like that?
Yeah, I'd have been like that anywhere. I'm kind of fearless. I'm a risk taker, and I don't see failure. I don't like to fail, and fail is always measured by success, how much money or how many ticks you put on the wall. But if I don't take a risk, I don't know. But I don't know. It's enticing. I mean, I get excited even at my age thinking about, ooh, we got to take a risk.
Wow.
Entrepreneur. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you are.
But I'm not unique, Russ. Anybody can change their attitude.
What would you say in a health coaching? It's as much inspiration and motivation and education. It's all kind of wrapped up, I would imagine. What's the biggest excuse that you're hearing in people that they?
I can't afford it.
It's the money.
I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And I've a couple times with people that I just knew it was a mind game they were using as an excuse. A lot of them are afraid to fail again, so they don't want to run the risk. But sometimes I'll just challenge them and say, fine, I'll pay for it for a month. They don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Because their fat, their fluff, keeps them safe. It really isolates them from the world. They're shortening their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost two very dear cousins of mine that they could afford it, the diabetes, they lost their legs, everything, and they would not change their habits.
Yeah, do you ever talk to them about programming? And as we talked about abuse, but programming can come as a child in a lot of different forms.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like when I'm real estate coaching people, I have to kind of, where I'll meet a person like, I think you have the gifts if you want them.
Yeah.
And then we can work on it, but I need you to kind of get over some of this programming that you have.
Yeah.
And part of that is certainty.
It is.
I need to have certainty, and I'm like, the problem with that comfort zone is that's where growth goes to die.
Yeah,
and
it stops right there.
I mean, it's the only pure way to assassinate delayed gratification is instant gratification.
Right,
and that's where all the cool, delayed gratification is where all the cool stuff lives.
Well, and
achievement, satisfaction, self-esteem. Yeah. And we all go up and down. That's the other thing I think that I would imagine, especially in weight loss or fitness or anything,
any of it.
You have to be willing to accept, okay, well, today I failed.
Oh, yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
And not just beat yourself up, right?
Yeah.
And focus on that process that next day versus that achievement.
But I have to be teachable and coachable. I don't know it all.
Always.
So I go to the gurus and I let them tell me, if you do this, the odds are you can expect this. If you go on social media 3-4 different times a day, you can expect these kinds of results. I didn't want to waste the time to find things to put on there that talk about my life, show pictures of my dogs. Some of that I think is a little arrogant for me, but then I realize My passion is to help people get well and change their lives. I can't get that if I don't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, lead by example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've expanded out into peptides. I have come to believe there are people that my plan that I'm a card carrier for is not for all people. But this peptide thing is doing amazing things for them. So I can offer them,
Choices.
here's the Lamborghini, here's the Volkswagen, with some different input from you, a little more work from you. The Volkswagen's going to get you there.
Yeah.
Lamborghini, you're going to go there quick and in style. But over here, and I mean, it's just, I mean, I love it.
And you can tell, I mean, you just love life, right? And what I love most is that you said you didn't necessarily feel this way for 50 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
But
So the people that are like been a certain way a long time, in their 40s, 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
70s, 80s, and they feel like, well, it's just too old. I'm just too old. I can't change.
Yep.
That's all BS, right?
It totally, oh my gosh. I mean, I was done riding. I was going to accept until I said, that's not what you do, Karyl. That is being a literal wuss. I mean, I can be pretty hard on myself, but I need that. You know, slap yourself alongside the face, look in the mirror and say, what are you doing to make this worse?
Yeah.
You must have rubbed off on Roger, because I don't know if you know this or not. I'll tell you a quick story about Roger and yoga. So I got into yoga.
I know he was trying yoga.
I got into yoga. My wife got me into it, I don't know, over 10 years ago now. But one day I'm with Linda Kennedy, and sadly she passed away. You know, she was my first instructor. And I remember my first day, I looked at everybody and I was like, raised my hand. I didn't know we were supposed to do that in class.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
My body doesn't do this.
It doesn't move
And
like
she's
that.
like, are you human? And I go, yeah. She goes, it does. You just have to wait. And then one
Yeah.
day Roger comes in. He's got sweatpants on, his boots, and I think he had a cowboy hat on, I think, or a baseball hat or something. She goes, Roger, you can wear the baseball hat, but you can't wear the cowboy boots. He goes,
Yeah.
well, damn it, I'm wearing my cowboy boots in yoga. And she goes, no, you're not, Roger. Take them off.
Gotta be
And so
barefoot.
he took them off, took his cowboy boots off, went in there, and the next thing I know, he was riding his Harley.
Yeah.
He got back. That was his motivation. So you must have had, you're
Well,
inspiring people all the time.
He had Parkinson's. And even though we weren't married or anything like that, I still cared about the man a lot. And so we would go, I'd say, let's go on a motorcycle ride. Anything to get him outside and keep him moving. Because we've got to stay engaged, you know, and I have to stay engaged.
Well, you talked about what Pee Wee's doing, and
Oh, yeah.
he's one of the toughest guys I've ever met, and a good friend, and we grew up together.
Yeah.
And he kept going in rodeo, and I had stopped, and he went all the way and became one of the best in the world, and just became the Hall of Fame member at Chelan High School this week for all of his accolades.
And for him, he was so appreciative of that, but he didn't get why. And yet his daughter says to me, Toto, that's what my grandkids call me, Toto, I didn't know Dad had won all that stuff. And I said, yeah. She said, he never talks about it.
Yeah, well, he's always been
And I said, no.
Wow.
I said,
quiet.
Yeah.
But there
stoic.
again,
He's a very stoic individual.
I can remember when he ran into bull riders, top of winning the world type Donnie Gay bull riders.
Yeah.
And he met them and he was so enraptured with them as a young rider. And they were jerks.
Were they jerks?
Absolute rude, disrespectful jerks. And he would watch them and he said, I'll never be that.
No.
If people appreciate what I'm doing, I need to appreciate that.
Wow.
And he's that way. I mean, even it was so cool. Gets Mom a little teary-eyed. But when they were giving the award and people were clapping and everything, and he took his hat
I saw that.
Yeah.
Stoic, man. He's a man among men.
Yeah.
And his determination with his illness and his attitude, again, we don't have to look very far in this town to see a lot of inspiration.
all over.
If you open your eyes to it. If you're not careful though, we had talked off camera about social media. It can
Yeah.
be a very powerfully positive tool, and it
Yes.
can be a very, very
Yeah.
negative tool.
Yes.
because and I am a firm believer, if I can't put something on social media that's funny or positive, because I have days that I'm sucking my thumb. Well, that isn't the day I'm going on social media.
Yeah.
And I'm not airing my dirty laundry on social media. I mean, people don't need that.
Or attacking. That's the
I
part.
mean,
I don't,
it's
I don't
just,
care for
yeah.
that.
No, it's,
And it's sad in a way because you see the people do that, or divorces or seem to be the worst, or things that, like you said, people start attacking.
yeah.
And then what I often do is I think, I wish people understood their backstory, and I wish somebody could get
Yes.
to them, and so
Yes.
they understood what's happening in
Right.
their life, right?
Yes.
My daughter, for example, she's a doctor of audiology now, 2 grandsons, doing great. But when she was younger, she was a flamethrower. She still is a flamethrower,
Yeah.
but she'd get road rage really bad. And I'd be like, Taylor, first of all, you're a 16-year-old girl. Like, you really think you're going to change that 50-year-old's mind because
Driving behavior.
you're just yelling at them because
Yeah.
they pulled out in front of you? I go, and we don't know what happened. What if they just
Right.
backed over their 2-year-old?
Yeah. There's,
Like, we don't know the rest of the story.
no. And
So
is
that
so-
judgment is,
Grace, I think.
and I think you see that on social media a lot, where there's this instant judgment with this much facts.
Well, and then there's the other thing where say, for example, the person that likes their alcohol a little too much. And they get in that, and then they get on social media.
Yeah, it's not good. So I think, one of the things that is inevitable in life, right? Whether we talk, and you've seen a lot of changes in this town, and I love your attitude about change. That
Oh my gosh, no
you,
kidding.
you love you love this town. You could
I
maybe
do.
tweak it here and there, but you love change. You love the town,
Yeah.
and you love all the people, and
Oh, the people are amazing.
right. And that's the key, right? Like, there's so much positive, and we're hoping that this podcast is a continuation of what you're saying, and that
Yeah.
is we're providing some positive in a land where people maybe could use it.
Yeah. We
You know.
can. You cannot sprinkle enough good.
So I got a question for you. When you're out on your almost 300,000 miles and you're going some back roads, you're hitting a lot of other small towns.
Uh-huh.
And I assume that because you love our small town so much, you're talking about it. How are you describing it?
Chelan?
Yeah. How are you
'Cause they
describing
say,
your hometown
They say,
to
where do
people?
you live? Oh,
Yeah.
I live in the best place in the world. I can't wait to get home. I really like your town, and I'm going to enjoy it, but it doesn't compare. And then they'll say, well, what's so great about it?
Yeah.
And I'd say, first of all, number one, it's the people. I said, that is a town where the people as a whole, I said, are fantastic. And they'll help, they'll do anything, they rally around, they support. And I said, but the location. I said, how do you beat the location we're in?
I mean, that's impressive because I think there's a lot of people who've been here their whole life, maybe haven't gone a lot of places. You like to say that you're county.
County Lee.
Yeah.
My partners are
or
worldly,
people
but
that
I'm
have been,
county Lee. I know where Nan's
to
at.
a handful of places.
You know.
But you've been a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of this country, and you're still saying that about
Oh, yeah.
your town.
But you're also a good example of, like you said, no matter where you're at, you're going to be you. And you can bring positivity no matter where you live.
Oh, yeah.
And no matter
Yeah.
what you've gone through. I mean, I think that there's something to be said for persistence and perseverance in hard times that make strong people.
Oh, big time. I mean, I haven't had it easy my whole life. I mean, when I first became a single woman, I was living in a 2-man tent.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a house. I lost. And that's just reality. But be damned, I had a job that had laundry and a shower, so I could go to work early and I could take a bath and a shower and do my laundry there. And then I had lost all my credit rating. And so I finally talked to a double-wide mobile home place to give me credit. God, I think it was something like 18%, you know. But I wanted to get out of my 2-man backpacking tent. I couch jumped for a while to
Yeah.
make things work. I mean, people would look at that and say no, that's where I learned that. What's a little effort? I mean, and then I reflected back on when we moved here. We lived in that picker's cabin.
Yeah.
Honest to God, it'd rain and the grass would grow up through the floor, and you know,
Grit.
I don't know.
A little bit of grit.
No,
Never
it's
hurt
just
anybody.
see, my attitude is, why not? Why not do that to get what you want? And maybe all you want is to feel better about yourself. Doesn't have to be material. I don't know. It's just, life is too worth living to waste it sucking your thumb and saying, poor me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do search for that material stuff because they think it's going to give them that feeling they want, which they can't get unless they do the work internally.
Right. And the other thing is, I learned I'm not blaming anybody else. You know, I don't care. No. It's me. What am I going to do with it? I could sit right here now and weigh 240 pounds and sit right here and say, poor me. Sure was nice when I was riding my bike, you know. Sure too bad that, you know, that didn't work out. No. It's a choice. And if you want to change something,
Yeah.
you got to change something you're doing.
So of all the times that you can remember, since you saw the lake when you were 19 for the first time, and all the friendships that you've made
Yeah.
over the years, what are some of the, like if you had to just say a couple of the things in your life that really made a difference for you, or really, like, what does this place mean to you? Like, is it
What
just...
does Chelan mean to me?
Yeah,
I have a lot of people say to me, in all your travels and this type of thing, have you ever found any place else that has really caught your eye? And I said, oh yeah, there's a lot of wonderful places.
Yeah.
But I said, there's something about Chelan, just like, I don't know, it was magnetic. When I came all these years later, that's 50-some years later, I come around that corner, I get that same rush. I come off McNeil Canyon, and I always stop at the top when I can first see the lake.
That's breathtaking.
And it's just like, oh,
That's breathtaking.
this is so awesome. And I've seen it thousands of times.
Yeah.
But I know this is home. I know that if I walk downtown and I have a real need, I can go into Kelly's. I can go into the department store. I mean, I can walk into the chamber and go to the fire hall, and somebody's going to help me.
Yeah, because also a fire commissioner in your
was.
spare time.
I just retired.
You have an ambition problem,
I
Karyl.
retired. Well, here again, another philosophy of mine. If you're going to bitch about something, be willing to do something about it.
Get involved.
And I was very vocal about where our fire district was. It was not, in my judgment, well at all. It is doing incredibly well now, and I'm going to take some of the credit for that.
Good, you should.
Because I'm a little pushy and a little mouthy, and I want what I want.
Love all that.
Let me ask you this. You knew my dad pretty well. You
Oh,
knew,
yeah.
You know
And
Jim
your mom.
Sackett and
Yeah.
my mom, and you know Roger, and you know Earl Stanford,
Yeah.
and you know all these other guys. Some might say that breed of men, that whatever you want to call it, is dying out. Would you buy into that? Would you think that the people have changed?
I would die into that we are creating a pretty weak society. I want to be taken care of society. Now, you're from the old, like my kids. You
Yeah.
got the old way of being raised, and so that's how you live. But I run into many people that they literally expect somebody to take care of them.
Yeah, it's weird right now because I have seen it and talked to a lot of different people in my real estate business. I meet people from all over, which is
Right.
one of the things I love about this town is that it is a melting pot of
it
so many
is,
different
yes.
personalities. But right now, what seems to be happening, and I'm just curious about your opinion on it, it's hard to find people that want to work hard
I know.
and not expect a lot early. Like,
Exactly.
and it's not just it's not one industry. It's all these people,
it's
like
all over.
these
Yep.
owners that I talk
Yep.
to. And what would you think? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's because they are getting taken care of. Somewhere they're getting taken care of because I had to work. If I wanted to put food on the table, I had to work. And I also had maybe not even a good balance, but pride in no handout. Even at my age, my biggest fear is outliving my money and have to be dependent on somebody else. I mean, that is just makes me grit my teeth and say, oh, hell no, that ain't happening. I'm going on the Indian walk if that I get to that point. Because I came from immigrant people.
Yeah, we all did, I guess.
You know, when my grandparents came here, they were illiterate. Never had education. Didn't believe in their kids getting an education. You know, my mom got to go to the 3rd grade.
Do you think there's hope that this pendulum of, you know, hard times make good men make soft times?
I pray that it will.
Maybe it's coming back a little.
I think it is. I think but boy, it's going to take a lot to get it back. I mean, to me, what is scary is that people will sell out their freedoms to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, that's, you know, I have things that I stand for and they mean a lot to me, like my flag will always fly. It will be lit 24 hours a day. I've done the Run for the Wall twice on my bike because it's a mission trip. Not because I just like driving across the nation with other bikers, but it's for a mission to bring strength. And yeah, we've gotten weak.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
There's also what I tell people, at least in my business, there's never been in my career, it's just 34 years in real estate. I think I got licensed in 1989. And I've been up and down and up and down as an entrepreneur. Had a restaurant too.
Yeah.
We did all the stuff. There's never been a better chance for
No.
people to jump ahead
No.
if they just want to go get it.
And, you
'Cause
know,
there's
and-
more opportunity now than there's ever
Oh,
been.
absolutely.
Competition's not as intense.
Oh, so much you can do. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, oh, man, if things had been like that, you know, yeah.
That's what I think is good news, is that those leaders will step up.
I do. I believe
mean,
that.
But, you know, she was talking earlier about change and liking change, and there's a part of me that wonders, kind of playing devil's advocate to this. I feel like every older generation looks at the younger, you know, usually 2 or 3 down, and says, "Oh, what a mess! Oh, what you're doing is crazy. You know, we don't agree. We don't like it."
It's true.
And
I mean,
then
that is also
and then
true.
it all ends up kind of working out. Like, what can we also learn from
I think the difference is
way
we were
things are
outside,
now?
and now we're 4.5 hours on a screen.
Right.
Well, I know, but I mean that's what we're talking about, right? Is that there's change,
Well, for
and
me-
we don't like it, but then hasn't every older generation said that?
I
don't know
would
if they were
say
soft, though.
not every older generation. I would say that maybe the propensity is to do that. But I know, again, I can look at my life. That's the one I can judge the most. And I am, you know, working on, I think I got 8 great grandkids now. Well, I got grandkids that are
Perfect.
in the world. But you know what? I listen to every one of them. There's sometimes I roll my eyes. And I'll say, is that working for you? If it's working for you, maybe you want to continue. If it's not working for you, what do you need to do? But I know inside of you, and I just, with one of my grandsons who's struggling, I had patted him on the chest. I mean, this is a man. And I said, there's a good man inside of you. I want you to let that man out.
Yeah.
And don't you dare tell me anything different, because I ain't going to listen to that bullshit, because I know what's inside of you.
Yeah, you get beat down. You know, I think a lot of people get beat down and they don't have
do.
that. They don't have that, and they don't know how to look for it. So there's some of that education. To your point, I think that as people realize that hope isn't a bad thing, but it's not easy to get. Like
No.
there's some
You
time.
have to grab it.
Yeah, you have to grab it.
You have to, and that's why, again, they're starting Celebrate Recovery up here in a couple weeks
Yes.
out at the community center. And that is one of the finest free programs there is.
We're lucky to be having that here.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people
I was
that
involved
need
in the original when we had it at North Shore. And it did amazing things in this valley. And it's exciting to have it come back because
Yes.
it addresses any hurt, habit, or hang up. And every living vessel
I love it.
has it.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
None of us have escaped a hurt, habit, or a hang up that
No.
messes with our life.
No.
Yeah. That's very true.
Agree.
And
I think that's that thing that we're trying to do is weave that connection for all of us.
And I think that's what's great about social media is I think that is the one thing that is easier to see now than it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Is that people struggle? Is that connection? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and to also get over your limiting beliefs and to also work through some stuff. It's a little bit easier to find those resources now than it used to be.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What I love that you do, Karyl, and I try to do, and I know we all do in this room, when you see somebody, I encourage everybody to reach out to them. And,
Oh, yeah.
And don't wait for them to ask for help.
No.
Just go do something
Go
for
do
them.
something.
Yeah.
You know, we were at a winery not that long ago, and there was a family from Ukraine, and I talked to them a little bit. I was with my company, and they wanted to get back home. They've been here 10 years, but there are a lot of family members that are going through an awful lot right now in that war. And the man looked at me and he goes, I'm going to get back there.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way back there. So I just was so, appreciative of their struggle or plight or whatever you want to call
Right.
it. They live in Seattle now, but I bought got their check when I walked out.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them. That night they tracked me down at my office and returned a bottle of wine to me and said, thank you for being so
Yeah.
nice and generous and hospitable. And that's what I mean by sometimes, that extra effort. And you do it every single day.
Oh, well,
And I love that about you.
I don't see that I do, but that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not? God, I'm retired. What else have I got to do, I don't even have to shovel horse shit anymore. So it's like, why not? I mean, I don't know, I just don't get why not.
Why not?
It's fascinating to think that you said that your first 50 years you lived in fear and maybe with some belief system of keeping you kind of
Well,
boxed up a little bit. Hearing your full story a little bit, just this much of it, I'm like, how is that possible?
Well,
And
because
seeing you like this, it's just amazing.
it used to be I wanted people's approval. And let me tell you, when you're a little bit off center, you don't always get approval.
No, you don't.
Let me touch on that because I
You
hear
don't.
that a lot in my game where your family, for your own safety and don't want to see you get hurt, are going to tell you not to do something.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see you fail. I don't want to see you suffer. So I'm going to come from this righteousness. And their heart is probably
Their heart in the right
Yeah.
place.
What do you say to that?
I say, well, that's a self-serving attitude. And what it is. Of course, you know my family. And I said, because you're thinking about yourself, you're not thinking about me.
In your dreams and your
And
hopes and your-
fear. Like you said before, they have an internal
Okay,
fear.
well, then they need to work through it. I mean,
Yeah.
and I believe that strongly.
So we've been talking for a while now, and I could talk to you all day, but I want to know one more thing. In that moment, when you're helping people in your coaching or in your life,
Right.
and somebody that you care about comes at you, and maybe to a point where it's kind of pissing you off, it gets a little old,
Yeah.
they didn't listen the first 2 or 3 or 100
Yeah,
times
right.
you said. What's your advice for people that are on the fence right now in their life, whether it's recovery of addiction or whether
Whatever.
it's depression or whatever it is, a goal that they're thinking about doing? Maybe they want to start knitting in a picker's cabin.
Yeah, right.
So what do you
School.
tell them, and if you could tell them one thing and leave them with one thing?
You got to do something. Quit thinking about it make an action.
Just take a step.
I will help you make a plan. But you've got to do something. It isn't going to happen automatically. I am a firm believer in God and that He's involved in my life, but I can't sit on this chair and have Him do everything that I tell Him I want done. Yeah, I want His help, but He says, get off your dead ass and do it. You move, I'll do things to make it work.
Well, when I was in my thumb-sucking years, as you put it, my counselor said, when I would say, I feel frozen. I don't know which way to go, what to do, am I getting divorced? Am I not getting divorced? Am I living here? Am I not living here? Am I working there? Am I not working there? I mean, I didn't know one thing for certain. And that's kind of what she said. If you don't know, just do something.
Do something.
Pick a way, make a choice, and go in that direction.
Right.
And then, how does that feel?
Right.
Does that feel good? Or do you hate it?
Right.
Do you love it? Do you hate it? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel bad?
Right.
Now you're getting feedback on your choices. And then you can say, okay, go a different way. That one doesn't feel good. She says, pick a different path.
Yeah.
But keep doing something.
It is a choice. And I'll have people say, well, I really don't have any choices. Yeah, you do. You just don't want them. You don't want the challenge. You don't want to do the work. I'm sorry, but you don't want to do the work. I want you to do it, but I can't do it for you.
Yeah, that's hard sometimes when you love people too.
Well, love is a good word. We should have more of that. And I love you, and I've known you a long time.
I love you too.
And I consider
Russ.
you. Hey, man, your kids had Prune and Pee Wee.
Yeah, right.
You can call him Rusty all you want.
I was Russell Eugene, Rusty Russ. I've been called a lot worse in my life.
Let's just stick to Rusty.
Yeah, so I want to tell you thank you for coming and doing this today.
Well, I mean, thank you for inviting me. And I have to admit, I don't know why truly, I don't know why you invited me.
That's why.
I had someone.
That's why.
First of all, you're a hoot and a half.
I was setting my schedule for some coaching today, and I said, no, I'm busy these times, and I love being self-employed, and so the gal says, well, where are you going? She says, oh, that's so cool. She said, well, why did they ask you? I said, because I'm old. I said, that's the only reason I can think of is I'm old.
You've been an inspiration, and
No,
your family has
that's not
been
it.
an inspiration for my life and my family a long time.
Yeah.
So I feel grateful to be
It was
here.
pretty easy. Pretty easy. I don't know who inspired who, but I kind of think that McClellan, Sackett, Phelps, Oules, kind of the whole thing.
If the concept is to build relationships and to weave together different corners of our small towns, then we gotta reach all the people.
Yeah.
Well, and enjoy them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can come across some of the, in my judgment, pretty screwed up people, but they've got worth. There is something that person has that's worth, and that's the nugget I want to find.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I have to be able to have a boundary so that they don't take advantage, or and it's finding that balance.
Yeah.
It's finding that balance. But everybody has worth.
Yeah.
There's no
Very
limit.
true.
Well, this time of year, if you're fighting, a lot of people are fighting weight issues right now, and they put on some LBs. You're a good person to call.
Absolutely.
And you can
I
help.
I would love. I mean, I'll talk to anybody. I'm cheap. They talk free.
Yeah, so we're going to have this link up everywhere. People can watch this, and they can make a decision to call you and change their life, because you are proof.
I can say I've had 130 some clients, and it's been so rewarding for me, and I know it is for them too, because they'll write their stories in appreciation. But they did the work. I just was a coach.
Well, thanks for sharing your life.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
so
Well,
much.
What's the best place people can find you then? Facebook?
Oh yeah, Facebook under Karyl Oules. She just
Okay.
yaks
Now
up.
you heard it.
We'll link it up.
All right.
Look for Tess and Corgi, or Tess and Piper, the two corgis. They're on there.
And the spider running
And
around
the
town.
spider.
Yep.
The spider's parked
see
in the
the spider
garage
leg.
right now. I
right.
walk through and
Thanks,
pat it
guys.
on the nose.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you
Karyl.
very much.
All right, you bet.
Signing off.